Hello and welcome to the Dance Yourself Brave show, where we get real about the struggles dancers face, from confidence battles to self-doubt, and how dance has the power to make us braver, stronger, and more unstoppable in every area of life. I'm your host, Mariana Santos, founder of SCW Fitness. And whether you're a seasoned dancer, a dance instructor, dance lover, or someone who's always wanted to dance but feels a little intimidated to start, this show is for you. Expect honest conversations, inspiring stories, and simple ways to bring more dance into your life, whether that's in the studio, on stage, or right in your living room. And if you're a dance instructor, we've got you covered with tips on how to grow your dance business, attract more students, and create a bigger impact through your passion for movement. So if you're ready to step out of your comfort zone, own your movement, and dance yourself brave, let's do this. Hello and welcome to the Dance Yourself Brave show. I'm your host, Mariana Santos, and I'm so excited because I have Sarah Kooperman with me today. And I'll be honest, she is one of my idols in the fitness world, so I can't believe that she's here chatting with us today. So just a little bit of a background about Sarah. So Sarah Kooperman, JD, is the CEO of SCW Fitness Education, Water in Motion, and Seat Fitness, revolutionizing fitness education globally. A visionary leader, she's launched 7 Mania conventions, 6 streaming conferences, and over 40 certifications, impacting more than 100,000 professionals. Best-selling author of Fit for Business, Sarah is a sought-after keynote speaker, podcast host, and industry expert. Former CEO of Les Mills Midwest, she served on prominent boards, including the Gold's Gym Think Tank and CanFit Pro Advisory Panel. With a law degree from Washington University and undergrad from Macalester College and studies at Cambridge University, she's a National Fitness Hall of Fame inductee. Well, you've done a lot, Sarah. Thanks so much for being on the show. How are you
I
doing?
think that's so funny. When I hear someone say, yeah, she's one of my idols, I figure, oh my God, am I that old? That's what I always think.
It's not that. It's just because you're just so inspirational in what you do. And it's so important to have those people to look up to, in whatever industry you're in. And for me, it's the fitness industry. And I just love everything there is about you.
Well, that's very, very sweet. It's been long, SCW Fitness has been around for 40 years. And I never thought this. I was very intrigued by the name of your podcast and the focus on dance because that's where I started.
Yep. That's
No,
exactly
and
why
it's
I wanted to have you on.
Yeah, and as a dancer, I always say, yeah, I was at a strip club. No, I was not at a strip club. I danced in college and I actually got recruited to be in a dance troupe. I auditioned for an apprentice position because I didn't want to pay. You ready for this? Dance classes were $3, and
I
that
don't
was a
want to pay
lot
that.
of money. And the ones that I wanted to take were $6 because they were downtown. So I had to drive, I had to park, no charge for parking. And gas was not expensive back then. But that was a lot to pay $6 also for a class. So I thought I could get free dance classes. And that's why I auditioned to be an apprentice. And I made the company itself. So I started dancing professionally when I was in college, and I decided to go to school part-time and try this and see if this was something I wanted to do. And we all think about this, with professional athletes, their career is going to end at a certain point. Okay. But hopefully they've been smart, and the millions of dollars that they were paid, they put away. Well, you don't get millions of dollars when you're a dancer. So what do you do when it's too physically hard to keep doing it? And that's for me when fitness came in. That's for me.
That's awesome. And can you share a little bit about some struggles you faced, like when you started dancing? Was anything particularly difficult that you had to, maybe work at a little bit?
Well, I was, obviously you can tell I'm a lawyer. I was very academic. I never practiced law except my summers in between law school. I really ended up going into business right away from law school. I took the bar, I passed the bar. I was a licensed attorney for over 20 years, but I really wanted to open a business. But when I was dancing, I remember specifically, I was doing an internship at the United Nations. It was really kind of cool. It was like a month internship that we went from college. And I would dance during lunch and I would dance in the evening because, I mean, my God, this is New York City. I took from Martha Graham. My God, I mean, can you imagine? It was really very cool. I was more into jazz dance, but I'd go to dance and I remember like the girls in the dance class like staring at me like, what is she doing here? Which was very interesting, very interesting. I didn't know why they were I was good. I was good, you know, when I was young. Now you wouldn't catch me at a wedding dancing if you paid me, but when I was young, I was good. And that was very difficult for me to handle. I'm from the Midwest. We're very friendly in the Midwest. We help people, and that was a bit challenging. And for me, deciding that I wanted to go to school part-time and try this out and see if I wanted to do this, I remember calling my parents, and my mother was screaming at me. And my father waited until there was a little bit of silence, and he said, "Go for it." And I was like, "Oh my God." And then my mother started screaming at my father. Um, it's you have those choices, but for me, when I was performing with the dance company, I got a solo and I was performing, and my college professor came to see me dance, and my parents were there, all this stuff. And I didn't feel that, you know, like I didn't feel that surge of, oh my gosh, this is totally worthwhile. I love this. I love this. I didn't get it. I, you know, it's like that old chorus line. I felt nothing. I was like, well, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? But what I did love was teaching. That was my thing. It was wonderful to be able to go back in and teach others. That's where I got my thrill. And I thought, I'm good at this and I love this. So I kept teaching. I was teaching jazz dance. And then they had me teach this weird thing called aerobics. And so I taught the aerobics, and that was really fun because it was new, it was brand new, and nobody did it. Nobody knew how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a Victrola, like literally one of those portable little suitcases that was I used to play 45s on it and my albums. And that's how I would play the music, and the music would come out of that Victrola.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long, long, long time ago. But for me, it was the transition to fitness and that I enjoyed teaching.
Yeah, and I'm sure the musicality, right, that you learn through dance really helped as a fitness instructor, right?
My
Because
gosh, it's everything.
it's
You can see the
everything.
difference like that.
Hmm.
Like I'm stamping my finger like
Yeah.
that, okay? Because they know how to use the music, they know how to play with the musical phrasing. It's verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. I mean, it's like any country western song you've ever heard. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of
Hmm.
cool to see stuff like that and
Yeah.
to use that. And that's what made it really worthwhile for me.
Yeah. And what would you say are like some of the biggest challenges you faced like on your journey, both with dance, but transitioning into business? Because I'm sure now we say, oh, all these businesses that you have, people might be, oh, she was just a natural business owner, and I'm sure you are, but I'm sure there were a lot
That's
of struggles along the way.
no. My first, I didn't know how to do an Excel chart. I didn't know what AR, AP. I was in a Les Mills meeting, and here I am, one of these 50 agents in the world, and I'm the only female agent worldwide. And I had to walk out of the meeting, and I had to call my husband and go, "What is ROI? What does that mean?" That's your return on your investment. I didn't know. Okay, AR, AP. I didn't take one business class as an undergrad. I studied French utopian socialism and Marxist philosophy, believe it or not. And then I go to law school because I thought, well, that stuff doesn't work. I'm going to become a lawyer. And people think because I'm a lawyer that I know business. You don't know anything. I was going to say a bad word. You don't know anything, okay? Being a lawyer. You don't learn a darn thing. And I never even knew how to do Excel. Like I mentioned, I had all my documents in a Word. It was Word Perfect back then. They didn't even have Word. So I was very excited that I even got a computer. I remember when there was no World Wide Web, when there were no fax machines, when there were no computers. That's how I started my business. Nothing. I had nothing. And you're going to screw up all over the place. Like I lost my first business. I lost a down payment to a house. It shows you what a good businesswoman I was. And you learn, and you know what? You're gonna screw up. There's no other way to phrase it. You're gonna make mistakes. But the key is learn from the mistakes and try to correct them and don't give up. Like you look at people like the Rolling Stones, you look at the Eagles doing the Sphere in Las Vegas, you look at these like long time successes. It's just somebody having stamina. You
I
know,
agree.
it's seriously, my whole office burned down in 2018. We didn't tell anybody because we thought, oh my God, nobody will come to the convention. They'll think we lost everything and they won't come. So we didn't tell anybody. And the whole office burned down and we had to empty the office. We didn't have the money even to get anything cleaned professionally. We purchased all the stuff and literally, I mean, I'm sitting there outside scrubbing things. You had to use special cleaners because smoke is very oily and it sinks into things. So you have to clean it within 3 days or it's permanently destroyed. So like everybody jumped in and we had to clean everything. We lost everything. And you keep going.
You keep going. And would you say that's how you approach fitness? And do you think that dance kind of helped you to learn like how to just like not give up and just keep going? And do you
Well,
think
it's very interesting. I was in New York after I graduated undergrad, before I went to law school. And my boyfriend at the time was at NYU Law School. And I had an apartment and I was living in New York and I was teaching dance and I was working as a paralegal in a law firm just to see if I liked it or not, which nobody likes it. But I don't know why. I still went to law school anyway. But I remembered that my boyfriend at the time said every woman that was on the law review for NYU was an ex-dancer. And I'm a firm believer in this, that dancers, if you're a professional dancer, and I'm talking about you're taking this seriously, you're detail oriented, you're always on time, you follow through, and you can put up with pain and suffering because that's the way you're going to survive.
yes. Oh, I love that because it's so
Yeah.
true, right? It's so true. And it's what we need. Like, let's say you don't want to start a business, but in a career that's maybe more challenging than you would expect. Like, you need to have resilience. You need to be disciplined. You need to be able to keep going when things get tough. And I think that it's so beautiful that you can do something like dance that's, it is challenging, but it can also be a fun way for you to build those skills so that you can, chase your dreams down the road.
Yeah. Oh, very, most definitely. It keeps us in shape and you know how we feel about fitness.
Yeah.
It keeps you in shape. That's physical and that's mental. How you feel about yourself is how well you're going to be able to perform. And I'm not just talking about like on a stage. What I'm talking about is, being able to continue to excel in whatever you're doing.
Yes. Beautiful. And so I was, surprised to hear about, everything burning down in 2018, but is there something
Yeah.
else about your journey that maybe people would be surprised to know about?
Well, my first business, I decided I was going to open a studio. And I opened a studio downtown Chicago. And this is kind of fun. I mean, it was very, it was not a per se fitness studio. It was just one room. And so there was it was a lot of, it was group exercise. We really didn't do a personal training, and it was group exercise, and it was very dance based. And one of our most prominent clients was Oprah Winfrey. She used to come with all her, yeah, her Harpo people, and Stedman Graham used to come all the time. And I went to Oprah's 30th birthday party. So that tells you how long
Wow,
ago I owned the
that's
studio.
amazing.
And I danced half the night with Stedman Graham because he was awesome. So it was really fun. It was really fun. But she came to the studio. This is very funny. It's kind of funny. I don't see color of, like, if somebody's black or white or green. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care who you sleep with. We're in a community that's very, very accepting. If you're gay, if you're straight, man or woman, transitioning, I don't care. I don't care, right? So I always taught the 9 a.m. class, and Randy was teaching. Was one of my instructors, very dear friend. He was teaching the 8 a.m. class, and he comes running back into my little office, which was in the back. And he comes running, goes, Sarah, and we were right downtown Chicago. I mean, right downtown Chicago. It was on Superior and State Street. So you literally take a little elevator up or walk up the 3 flights of stairs, and you're at the studio. And he comes running in. He goes, there's this woman going through the clothes. And you got to come out and see what's going on. And so I see this black woman hovering over the clothes, and she turns around and looks at me. It's Oprah Winfrey. Because I used to go, this was when she was much heavier. I used to go and buy clothes, leotards and tights and stuff like that. And we just sold some of them, because what happens was people come to work out, and they forgot, I forgot my socks, or I forgot my clothes, or I forgot whatever. So you want to have something there so they don't leave.
They don't leave, yeah.
So it was pretty funny. It was pretty funny. And
Wow.
I used to buy Oprah Winfrey clothes.
Wow,
So that
that's
was
so
that
cool.
was kind of a fun thing. But, going from the dance, this is another thing that really helps you. Is I used to do, like you heard, I said, took from Martha Graham. That was a modern dance, but I took a lot of jazz. Jazz dance was my absolute favorite. I danced with Gus Giordano in Evanston, Phil Black in New York. So jazz dance was kind of my favorite thing. And it translates very, very well to group exercise, but it's also pretty challenging. So I was in Minnesota, and that's where I went to college. Macalester College is in Minnesota. I spent 3 years at Macalester and a year and a half at Cambridge in England. Okay. So I was at Macalester, and I was dancing, and you already heard me say that it was, $6 for a dance class was
Yeah,
expensive. Well, the traveling cast of a chorus line was coming through Minnesota. Minneapolis is very arts based. They have a wonderful fine arts community for painting, sculpting, all types of dance, writing workshops, stuff like that, very arts based. So a chorus line was coming through to audition people for their traveling cast. Well, I was pretty excited, because here I am, this young girl, and I'm like, "Ah, cool, I got a free class with all these New York dancers." So you're supposed to get there like at 9 o'clock in the morning, right? So I get there early, and I realize, oh my gosh, I don't have my ballet shoes, I don't have my tap shoes, and I don't have my jazz shoes or my character shoes. I had
no,
none of my shoes. I was like, because I'd been doing modern and I'd been barefoot. I was like, my God, what do I do? Well, my dance teacher, Barb, she was also auditioning. Now, she was amazing. She was 6 feet tall, skinny, gorgeous. She was awesome. So she was kind enough to loan me her tap shoes, and then she also loaned me her jazz shoes. But she's so tall. All right, I was 5'9.5". Now I'm like 5'8". You shrink over time, right? Uh, so I had to stuff with paper towels into the toes of the character shoes and the tap shoes and the jazz. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. But I made it all the way through the audition. Like, there were like 100 girls to start. And we started at 9 a.m. And here it was like 4 p.m. and I'd been dancing all day long. I made it all the way through. I mean, I was a good dancer, but then you're supposed to sing. That is not gonna happen. I can't even sing well enough to be the chorus line singer who sings off key, right? I was that bad. So I didn't make that, but that was a great experience. So I wanna encourage people, try out for things you never thought you would make. We do a lot of negative speak in our head when we're staring at ourselves dancing in a
Mhm.
mirror,
Yes.
right? All we see all we see is my thighs are too big, my point isn't strong enough, I can't kick high enough on my right leg, I kick higher with my left because my right leg's heavier. You know, we see every mistake. We don't see what we do right. So I think that that experience really taught me a lot.
Yeah, and that's beautiful for everything in life. We tend to, as we get older, we get harder and harder on ourselves. We think that we have to be perfect at something before we start, and perfection doesn't even exist. We should be aiming for progress. Take that first step, and then the next step will, you'll find someone that's going to guide you in the right direction, and just keep going that way. Yeah, that's why I think that dance is so great at teaching you that.
Well, and some people don't look at themselves critically enough.
Hmm. That's true.
Okay. So we're taught to critique ourselves, but then sometimes you got to just turn away from the mirror and you just got to feel it and you just got to do it. So audition for things that you don't think you're ready for or you're good enough for. Because people will watch you and they'll see your dedication and go, you know what? I'm going to give her a chance or I'm going to give him a chance. And I think that's very important for us to do.
Yes, I completely agree. So, is there a moment in your career, so whether in dance or fitness, that stands out as especially meaningful or transformational? Maybe, a success story from, someone who has been impacted by your classes or some of your teachings?
My gosh, I'll be at one of my conferences and I mean, I am exhausted. Like I always say I'm too old for this stuff, right? Just like because I'm older. I'm 65 right now. Like I'm just ready to curl up in a ball in the hotel room and just die. And then I go into the bathroom and I can't help myself. I mean, here's a little trick for people that own their own business. You are never too big to clean your own bathroom, do your own floors, pay attention to the details, and work hard. So here I was, I think it was California Mania, and we do 7 events a year around the country. And it's a great thing for any young dancer to think about doing, to transition into fitness because you can utilize all those skills. You will love teaching fitness classes because they will adore you. But I was at California. We do DC, California, Orlando, Atlanta, Dallas, Chicago, and Boston. I was in the bathroom and there was water all over the sink and there was paper towels. So I took the paper towels, I cleaned them up, and then I took a dry paper towel and I dried the sink. And then someone was kind of walking out of a stall and they said, "Oh, we're running out of toilet paper here." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I bent down and I went under the sink and I found some toilet paper and I brought it out and they went, "Oh my God, you're Sarah. You own the company. What are you doing?" And I'm like, "You work hard." Do you
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It's
Yep.
my bathroom. It may not be at
Exactly.
my home,
Mm-hmm.
but it's you work hard,
Mm-hmm.
and that's important to do. And this woman turned around, she gave me a big hug. I'll start crying, but she started crying and she said, "You changed my life. I was going through cancer treatment and I came to a conference and you did a presentation on strength training for vitality and longevity and blah, blah, blah. And you were so encouraging and I'm through it and I'm teaching and I love what I do." And I'm like, all right, you're never too tired.
Yes.
Get out of your own head, be
Yeah.
grateful.
Yeah.
So working hard and being grateful.
Yes.
So those are a couple things.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna cry too because this is always the part, like, every time I ask this question, I hear such beautiful stories, and it just goes to show that what we do, there's always someone that's listening, there's always someone that's paying attention and who is being inspired, right? So there's a reason why we're going through all the struggles and obstacles, right? Sometimes we don't understand why we're going through them. They're teaching us things, we're growing, and we're, paving the way for other people and showing them what's possible. And actually, I should mention that my last podcast interview was with Elizabeth Mooney. I was asking her, like, what got her started and, who was one of the people who helped her. And guess who it was? It was you. And I was like, actually, I'm
Well, you
interviewing
get
her next. So
it's
yes,
it's very interesting.
yeah,
Paying it forward,
yes,
you will be, you know how when you're teaching a class, for me, when I'm teaching a class and I get inspired and I come up with new choreography and I'm like, oh my God, I have to write that down. That was
yeah,
so good,
yeah,
right? When you're teaching others, when you're mentoring others, like I talk to a lot of our sponsors and I'm like, you should think about doing this and you should think about doing it this way and this will work better than that and it'll help you succeed. I mean, we've had conversations, Mariana, and it springs ideas for you. It makes you a better person, I think, because it makes you think, God, I really should try doing something different on that or,
yes.
whatever.
Yeah, and like you said, pay it forward because I think what you give out to the universe will eventually come back to you in some way. And so I think you're
It definitely
making
does.
tons of impact in the world, but what is something that you want to be known for? Like, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
This and it's funny. I read those. You had sent me some questions. Like, I better look at these, and I couldn't think of anything. But like on the spot right now, it's like education is education, and all education's good. The only thing, some of the things I can say I don't like about dance and some of the things I don't like about the fitness business is some people feel like they're competing. They're constantly competing. And I don't feel like we understand the teamwork aspect of it enough. And I I'm hoping that people look at that and go, no matter what they teach, it's of value. Like I remember I had a company, I'm not going to say which company, but the previous owner used to on and on. I want to be the only bar certification there. I have to be the only bar certification there. And I'm like, it's just not going to happen because you provide value here, but they provide value there. And people want to take both. People want to take both dance programs. So I hope maybe that's it. I don't
Yeah,
know.
more
That I made
teamwork.
the industry a little better, I hope.
Yeah, and I totally agree because I started off as a personal trainer. I did group fitness part-time and I worked with mostly male trainers. I was the only female trainer for a while. And I remember there was all this competition about, oh, who's going to sell the most personal training in a month? And that's what I thought the fitness industry was for a while. It's like competition and, you got to be better than the person next to you. And over the years, I realized, you know what? It doesn't have to be like that and it shouldn't be that way, right? There's more than enough people out there who need our help. And some people are going to resonate with a specific instructor, specific trainers, specific format. And we should be encouraging that, working together. Like I tell people, maybe you'll like my class, but maybe Zumba is better for you, or maybe, Country Fusion is better for you. Like there's so many options. And if we work together, like I think that at the end of the day, we're all in this to help people. And if we can get rid of that scarcity mindset, we'll realize that there is an abundance of people out there that we can help and serve.
Yeah. And health club owners need to think that way as well.
Yes,
They really do.
totally, totally.
They really do.
So, kind of on that track, like, what do you think that the world needs more of today?
We went through this big push during the pandemic. Exercise is medicine. Exercise is medicine. And I think that that's very important. But I feel like we've pulled away from that again. And people are still always searching for that magic pill, that Ozempic, that GLP-1, something like that. So I'd like to continue to see more wellness drawn in. What I'd also like to see, and I can't figure out how to do this, Mariana, maybe you have some insight, but I'd like to see some of these fitness influencers come to live conventions and share their wisdom and their skill set. I'd like to see that. So that's something I'd like to, and we keep we keep inviting them. We want to see them come, all these things, but I can't get them to leave their, their cell phones so that so that, so people can see them live. I
Yeah.
think doing something live, taking a class, a live dance class with others, rather than doing something in your den by yourself, I think it develops this community and I think it's important. So I'd like to see more
So
live
important.
classes.
I agree. Like, I think that the pandemic showed us just how important it is for us to be around other people. That's how we grow. And that's, we're social beings, right? We need to experience that. I mean, it's great that we have technology that we could have, Zoom meetings and things like that. But at certain, like, it comes to a certain point where you have to feel other people's energy, and you can only do that in person live. It's such a different experience, like, to just to meet people face to face, talk about, struggles, and be like, you know what, I go through that too. And this is how I, took care of it. Maybe you can try this tip.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
What advice would you give to someone who loves to dance but isn't sure how they could turn that passion into something bigger? So I know you mentioned fitness, but what would you say is like the first thing that they should think about when they say, maybe I can
Well,
do this fitness thing?
there are a lot of different careers. Okay. We talked about not being afraid to try out for something you didn't think you were good enough for. We talked about, yeah, transitioning from dance into fitness. But there's a lot of careers that go along with that. A friend of mine's daughter went into the promotion end. So she started working in the ticket office and started doing social media for the dance troupe, and started looking at more of the business end of it. So staying connected, not just in on the stage, but behind the stage. I mean, there's so many other things like doing the scenery, doing the sets and the scenery, getting into lighting, trying to work with the AV, the audio visual, and seeing how you can help with that. I mean, that's huge right now. Building an online platform, which doesn't seem to be as strong lately as it's been. I personally see online platforms decreasing, and I think that a lot of people are experiencing that according to my research. So that's interesting. There's a lot of different career options. I'm married. I've been with my husband. I'm lucky enough to have been with him 40 years. I've got 4 kids. They're now all fully grown. So I've owned a business my whole life. I'm a horrible cook. I don't cook. I'm great with an Excel chart. I'm fabulous at cleaning, but I'm just not a cook. But there's a way to build a life utilizing that skill set. But you also have to broaden your perspective
Yes.
and think outside of the box of, if I can't be on stage, I'm an athlete, and what's going to happen when I age out? And being a teacher is important, but if you're not a great teacher, don't force yourself into that box. You don't have to. You do have to have this certain type of mentality and ability to be a great teacher, but you can also learn to be a great teacher.
That's
I'm going to give you a little example. I have this great yoga instructor, and I love her, but she's got this horrible voice. She's got a horrible voice. It's whiny and she talks too loud and it's sing song like you're in a kindergarten class. I'm like, oh my God. But her choreography is great. Her music selection is great. She's an amazing yoga instructor. That's another aspect we can go in as a dancer because we've got this flexibility and body awareness. But I actually talked to her about it. And I went to a voice coach because I kept losing my voice all the time at my conferences. And I had to learn to speak in a lower register. My voice is a little lower now. And I had to stop talking as much during the class, let my students experience what they were feeling. And there were certain aspects I went. So I actually talked to this instructor, and gave her feedback, I thought, oh my God, she's going to hate me forever. But the reality is, she was teaching a Monday class and it should be absolutely packed. And it's 1/4 of the size as every other class at the same at 9:30 in the morning in the week.
Yeah.
It's like, why? So you can work on yourself to get better if you truly want to.
Mhm.
And that's where also I still go to conferences. I'm going to the HFA, the Health and Fitness Association convention. I leave tomorrow morning to fly there to Las Vegas. It's formerly IHRSA, IHRSA. And I go there every year and I'm attending sessions because, I have to keep learning. We
Yep.
all have to keep learning. I'm not
There's
dead yet.
always something
Not
else we
yet.
can learn. And I think we stay
Yeah,
young.
exactly.
We stay young as long as we keep, learning and realizing there's always something new out there that can improve our lives. And it's interesting that you mentioned the voice coach because my husband, you met my husband, right? But he grew up
Yeah.
dancing
Yeah, he's a great
across
guy.
across Brazil. So he was a dancer in a band. So they would tour and stuff. And then they lost their main singer and they asked him to sing. They're like, well, maybe you could just step in and sing. And then so he did this little audition and they were like, no, no, like singing's not for you because he would lose his and he still loses his voice very easily. So even when he DJs at events and things like that, and after like a few songs, like he's like, like people think there's something wrong with his mic, and it's like no, he just needs to learn how to speak from the diaphragm and things like that. So there's
Yeah,
always something
we're
that
teachers.
yep,
We've got to be learners.
yes,
You know, you gotta, oh my gosh, and take other people's classes and don't be a snob about it. Like, don't go, well, she didn't do this, or he forgot this on his left side, or
yeah,
whatever. It's like, stop it
no,
and
and
just enjoy and go, God, even if you don't do anything new, God, I used to do that. I'm going to bring that back.
yeah.
You can always walk away with something positive.
Yeah, learn a new cue. Like, as an instructor, it can be so easy to fall into this trap of using the same cues all the time that they're just automatic. But hearing something said in a slightly different way, like, you know what, I can use that. And I think, like you said, just like try to take the good from it
Yeah.
and don't try to be there to like intimidate them so that they're like, oh no, like this person's watching me, like goes back to what you were saying, how we should be more,
Yes.
working together and not competing against each other. So why don't you share like how people can connect
Absolutely.
with you and learn about your conferences and everything else that you'd like to share right now?
They can go to scwfit.com. Like it used to be Sarah's City Workout, scwfit.com. We've got 47, believe it or not, different certifications. We're adding a 48th. We're adding a GLP-1 fitness program, AOM, which is anti-obesity medication fitness programs, because all of our certifications are live stream and online. So you can take a certification online and then you can attend one of those 7 conferences. We always have the certifications at the conferences and attend it for free. So that's pretty cool that you can
That's
show
really
up and
cool.
attend it for free within a year if you took the online course. And then you get the 7 or 8 CECs you got for the online. That's CECs are continuing education credits for certified instructors. And then you also get another 7 or 8 CECs from attending it live. So that's a great way to
It's a great
get your
incentive. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's very economical. So you can go to our website. We're like Instagram and Facebook and stuff. It's SCW Mania. It's not just mania. It's not hashtag mania. It's hashtag SCW Mania because the hashtag mania became like a porn site or something one year. So we have to do SCW. It's terrible. Yeah. And what else? Oh, I have a website. It's just sarahkooperman.com. And that's Sarah without an H and Cooperman with a K. So
Well, I'll make
I
sure
think
to
that's
add
the best
all
way to reach it.
yes, all the links will be in the show notes, so it's easy to just click. And Sarah, thank you so much for being on the show with me. I'd love, like, learning all these layers and everything that you've been through. And it's just so inspirational. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, that's very sweet. I feel the same about you. You do a great job with Brazili Fitness. Just love it. And I've seen you and your husband teach, and oh my God, it's a phenomenal program. Just wonderful.
Thank you so much. And hopefully
All
I'll get to
right.
see you in person again soon because in person is so much better than online, right?
Yes, yes. Thank you. My pleasure to be here.
Thank
I'm honored.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you were inspired by this episode, make sure that you share with someone because remember, sharing is caring. Leave a quick review so that we can spread the dance love across the globe. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks for tuning in to the Dance Yourself Brave show. If today's episode got you hyped, inspired, or just made you want to bust a move, do me a favor, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear today's message. Sharing is caring after all. And hey, don't forget, your courage is already in you. Sometimes you just gotta dance it out to feel it. Catch you next time, keep shining, and keep dancing yourself brave.